is Trisha Schmalhofer here with Badasses, Alchemists and Mystics. Bam! I'm here today with Dr. Haig John. He is a chiropractor and so much more here in Melbourne, Florida, with me. And I'm going to let him talk in a minute, but I want to tell you all why I asked him to be on this show. And I heard about Dr. Haig from another therapist in the area. I'm a massage therapist. I specialize in craniosacral therapy, and chiropractic and craniosacral really dance well together.
They do.
Yes, they have a physical component, a spiritual component, an emotional component. I heard from a common friend, Erin Dialia, who said, hey, check this out. And I had some young clients that needed a chiropractor, and Dr. Haig works on children. And to me, that was a really strong point, because if you work on children, you have to be good at what you do. And
absolutely right.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And the other things that are highlighted about Dr. Haig that really warm my heart and soul is he sends out thank you notes to people that refer to him. And it's handwritten, it's mailed to you, and it's just kind of that old school feeling of appreciation and collaboration. And the other thing that I really love is if you ask him like about his schedule, he'll say, I can't do that, I'm serving at this time, which means he's working, which means he's doing his career, but he calls it being of service. And I know we're going to touch on that.
We are.
So Dr. Haig, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. Nice introduction. I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's my personal experience of you.
Well, thank you. Where do we start? We wrote some notes and we talked about some things, and, talking about service, I've spent my life in pursuing understanding what it means to serve. And there are a lot of books out there and people and coaches that help you be a better business person and things like that. But very few people talk about serving. What is serving? And, think of someone like the ultimate server, like Mother Teresa or Jesus, or, you think of amazing people, Mahatma Gandhi. And what makes them, what is service? What is it to serve? And so I've sought out mentors and people that would help me be a better server. And I've realized a few things. We'll talk about some things later. One of the most important things is really serving ourselves. And not being self-serving, but we have to care for ourselves first.
Definitely.
And I go to you. We've done work together. You've served me and cared for me and my family, my children, my wife.
Yes.
And we have to care for ourselves, and that personal care is also very important.
Especially for people in the healing modalities. We are so busy serving others that we have to remember, yes, to take that time for ourselves, that authentic self-care, and go to each other for that service.
Yeah.
So why don't we talk about chiropractic, because that's your title,
yes,
right?
Of course,
That is what, we have to pick some kind of box to be in this world, right?
And that's true,
Yeah, but it means something more to you. Chiropractic's not like just getting adjustment of the spine.
Well, that's an important factor, though. Getting it, the vertebral column houses our life system, which is the brain and spinal cord, right? I call it God's internet. And how
like
life is expressed within our body. And that's what chiropractors work with. And, just to give you a little bit of definition, chiropractors adjust a subluxation. And a subluxation, we can look at it in two ways. Sub meaning less than, or sub meaning under, okay? And then lux is light, ation's the expression of. So some people like the less light expression. And I can understand that, and I see that, and we want to shine our light at our brightest. I look at it this way too now, and my friend Pasquale, who is one of my close friends and my mentor for years and years, and we still meet in his place in Brooklyn. They meet monthly. I try and get there as much as I can. Sometimes I just zoom in. But
what's his full name?
Pasquale Sarasoli.
Oh, okay.
Pasquale Sarasoli. We have Self Center in Brooklyn, New York. And what he said is, remember, it also means under. Under the expression of the light. And I realized that under the light, we've been given a gift, a spiritual gift, to be able to serve the people. And we see that subluxation as a code. I see that code from God of how I can connect to that person to help them express their life at their fullest, to remove any interference from that neural system, to be whole and complete. That's what subluxation means to me. And that is a newer idea. And I see the other way, less light expression, is just a little bit of lack. And so I would rather be in abundance. There can't be less God. There can't be less life. It's really 100% at all times.
Mm-hmm.
So
from a more science perspective of what I understood a subluxation is with anatomy is that the vertebral column, like the vertebra, are shifted.
Yeah.
Right? So on a physical level, it's off kilter, but you're going into the deeper meaning.
I skipped the earthly stuff.
But I want to...
Which is great. Okay, I'll get back to it.
No.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to... I want to go into the deep stuff because that's why you're here. But just for people that aren't familiar with chiropractic, like subluxation, like it just means the spine's out of alignment.
Affecting the nerve. The most important part of that is a vertebra out of place affecting the nerve.
Okay.
That's the simplest way to see it.
Okay.
And I like that. That's a little bit more of where B.J. Palmer was. Where we are really is talking about D.D. Palmer, and he's the father of chiropractic and the father of B.J. Palmer, okay?
Okay.
And what he said was we connect the material with the spiritual.
I love that.
Okay? That material body with the spiritual guide to however we want to look at that. So, yeah, I jump right into to that stuff.
I love diving deep, but
Good.
I just have to get people on board that might not be ready to dive deep quite yet. So they're with us now.
Yes.
So cool. So I love that whole idea. I love words in the Latin stems and lux and light. I love that you brought that into it because that's how I see the God energy or the divine energy is this light. And so we want to bring that into our internet, right? Into our power center.
Yes.
Yeah. Because working in craniosacral, we're working with the same things as you and the cerebral spinal fluid flow and the membranes and the nerve roots, but there definitely is a whole another vibration to that I'm on board with. So
I just want to touch something. I do use terms like God and things. It's not a religious action. We're not talking about religion here. We're talking about serving. And I choose to use that term, and that's what I connect with. And whoever, you can use whatever term is right for you, right?
That's what we have to do.
Absolutely.
Our human brains have to, the whole idea of God and divine is it's beyond our human brain.
Absolutely.
We have to figure out the words for the feelings and so we can use God.
Good.
So,
okay, we're good.
We'll use God for that term. So I like that the concept of the body heals itself because I'm on board with that with what I do too. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
A lot of people want to, call you healers or in a lot of different forms. And we have lots of friends that are energy healers and work with vibrational energy and do a lot of, metaphysical stuff, which is really amazing. And I love it. One thing I have come to realize is that I am my own healer. I can serve you, but ultimately our body has to do it itself. And I can help you along, but we all have to learn to walk on our own. We all have to learn to do the things, in life, right? Same thing with healing. The body's got to do its own job. I can help you along that path. And ultimately the body heals itself. And when we look at things like D.D. Palmer he was adamant against using the word treatment because a treatment is for the sickness. I care for the person. If we put our energy towards something, we're going to get more of it out.
Oh, amen.
Right?
Yes, definitely.
Exactly. So if we're I'm trying to just get you out of pain, or I'm focusing on this, and whatever it is, we're going to get more of that energy.
And that's the allopathic medical model, is treat the disease.
Right.
So what you're talking about is...
Right. It's a chiropractic model. It's a philosophical model of care. And it's not coming from me. The energy may be coming through me, but your body ultimately has to do it. So that is, I see a higher level of service. Not one is lower or higher than the other, but really is serving at our being is really ourself stepping out of the way.
Totally.
I might know few things about anatomy, but in reality, my educated intelligence is not as smart as the intelligence that created me and created the cosmos and you, okay? That is far more amazing than any science has even close to touching on. So that is what we honor, that inborn intelligence within us all.
Definitely. And, you know, with the craniosacral, Dr. John Upledger developed it to be taught to healthcare practitioners, so just not osteopaths could practice it, but the inner physician he coined, which is the same thing that you're talking about, is that innate healer, that inner healer, and that we are a facilitator, not a healer. We are to stay neutral, to be present, and let your inner physician use my hands and my resources to assist you. And I do a lot of energy healing as well, and being that conduit for that bigger God energy, right? Letting it flow through, which is what you said, right?
You know, before I came, I read Cranial Sacral 1 and 2, the Beyond the Dura, before I came into this today.
Oh, wow.
So it was a lot of fun, and it's good stuff, because I do a lot of cranial work, like SOT, and I've done Cranial Sacral 1 and 2 years and years ago.
Right, and SOT is Sacral Occipital Technique.
Correct.
And this is more a question that I want to know, is there a lot of fundamental differences between SOT and craniosacral? I mean, is it...
Well, the research came, I just actually spent some time in Italy with a friend of mine who was mentored under Major DiGiornet, who developed a sacro-occipital technique, and we were talking about the development of that, and it all came from relatively the same place. And forgive me, I just can't think of those men's names, but they did a lot of really fun research on themselves. And there was one story about, you know, the leather hat, and then the screws so the cranial bones wouldn't move, and his poor wife, taking notes of his attitude.
Was that Still, or that might have
been
been
Sutherland?
Sutherland?
No, it was Sutherland.
Okay,
it was Sutherland.
Yeah.
Actually, someone corrected me. Maybe it was a Russian, and then Sutherland learned from him.
Okay.
So,
but yeah, it's like they're their own experiments, and they pressed on certain parts of the bone, and his wife would say he's acting very angry today.
Interesting stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool, and phrenology, like the study of a mapping of the head and the study of the bumps and all that. It's kind of cool.
It's pretty
work.
interesting.
So I think what we're gonna do before we move into like we talked about innate, right? That inner wisdom. And so this is what's going to be coming up after break. But the Innate Adjusting Workshops, I think we'll get into when we come back. So before we go, though, I want to, before we go to break, something that I want to start doing is, before the segments, feature a badass human in our life. And I'm going to welcome you all to email, if you have a badass human that you want to feature on the show, to email at bamcommunity11@gmail.com. But the human that I'm going to feature this show is Gary the Papper Schmalhofer, who is my dad. And he is a badass dad, and he is so big-hearted. He's an honest human and business owner of Frank's Garage, and he's a car whisperer. He just knows what's wrong in an automobile, and people come to him, and he's he'll sit down and explain what's going on. It's the kind of mechanic that you wish lived like everywhere, because we need our vehicles, right? So he's out of Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and this feature was submitted by yours truly, Trisha Schmalhofer. So Dad, he's a badass human. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
All right. This is Doug Monda.
This is Karen Monda.
And Chris Hadaway.
And we're the host of Survive, the new podcast brought to you by the Survive First Foundation, a nonprofit organization assisting first responders and their families in need of mental health support due to the lifestyle of being a first responder. So, Chris, tell us what we're going to have.
We're coming to you from retired and active law enforcement officers as well as their spouses to discuss the responder life.
Don't forget, this is an unedited and raw podcast, so we need your interactive suggestions and advice to help us help others.
So find us live on our Survive First Facebook page and join in the conversation, or find us on demand on Spotify, iTunes, or anywhere you listen to podcasts, from the Space Coast Podcast Network to you.
All right, we're back. This is Trisha Schmalhofer with BAM, Badasses, Alchemists and Mystics. My badass guest today is Dr. Haig John, and we just had a really good first segment. Now we're going to get into some more specific things that Dr. Haig's doing. Do you want to tell us about the Innate Express Podcast?
Yeah. Well, years ago, I started switching up how I just did my office meetings in the morning and with my own staff. And what we started doing is just reading philosophical books, abundance, philosophy, and doing visualizations and meditation. And I started just inviting all of I don't use the word patient. Everyone's a person. So inviting our people to come and opening up to whomever. So we've had a lot of different people coming in through the years. And we've got a good group. We meet Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 8 a.m. at my office, and I start serving at 9, or really whenever we're done. But we started recording it, okay? Yeah. And so what we have we do visualizations, meditations. We talk about abundance philosophy, and we post them. I have held back from posting them until we do this. This is going to be our inaugural. Okay, tune in for Innate Express. You can log on to our, our Facebook page, and it's called Innate Express. And our first one's going to be our badge of honor, and what we claim to be our badge of honor very often. And you think about everything from wearing, our sports T-shirts or something, and claiming this is what the self is, but getting one step deeper and learning who the I am is. So scraping away a little bit of that surface. So that's what that first one is going to be.
So the badge of honor, is that unique to each individual?
Yes.
Or, okay.
Oh,
so
yes.
it's exploring what that is and wearing it proudly, like this is who I am.
Right. Well, even yes, exactly. And getting deeper and understanding the self. And that's really what we do it's sort of every day of what we get into, of really chipping away at our layers. So, and I've got a lot of layers. I've got a lot of them. And as we get deeper, it brings us to be better servers. And that's what it's really all about. That's our mission, is to create a better server for myself. I can only speak for me. I can't speak for you as an individual. I'm doing it daily so I can become a better server. If you want to join in and it helps you in some way, I would love to have you. You can come in to our office, 8 a.m. A lot of people have come through the years, students, which is a blast too. And then we post them on our Innate Express on Facebook. So that's a lot of fun. And then we have our adjusting workshops, Innate Adjusting, which has been a blast over the years. I've been teaching adjusting for nearly 17 years. I've developed my own system of connection from all the mentors that have guided me, and really fulfilling my commitment to them of sharing what I've learned, because most of them have passed. One of my main mentors, Arnold Bernier, is still alive and healthy and is going to live a long, healthy life. But Pasquale Sarasoli has passed, Jim Sigafus has passed, Clarence Jensen has passed, and Sue Brown, God bless them all, has passed. And so the commitment to share the gifts that they have given us, that's really where it's all stemming from.
Mentorship is such an important role.
Yes.
And I know that you've taken a lot from each of them, and but it's important. I had a mentor once that wanted all of the power, and I think all the credit, all the power, and to keep you here, so I'm way up here. And so it's been one of the driving forces for me as now going into a teaching mentorship to never do that. To me, it's about uplifting students, uplifting people to wear that I am badge, and then they shine out in the world to even grow past. So I like that you called them, you say they guide you. A lot of times I see a mentor as helping us open the door to ourselves so we can see who we are, so then we can shine our light. But so I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Okay.
But so you're Arno, what's the last name?
Bernier.
If you had to say, what's the one thing that really you learned from that mentor? Serving.
Yes. I'll tell you what he said years and years ago, and this is a common theme for him. And I've traveled with him, and we've in adjusting seminars. I've been on staff with him for nearly 12 or 13 years before. And one thing he said, serving is like an endless vacation. You're going to be on an endless vacation. And my first years in practice, I tell you, I was like, when is this vacation going to start? It's hard work starting a business.
Yes, it is.
And, it becomes more business than service. And being in balance, once that balance gets in, where you have your business hand, you have your service hand, and you're in balance, because you're able to. A friend, Pam Jarbo, she just said this when we were in Italy. She said, to be a good giver, you have to be a good receiver. Like, oh man, that makes so much sense.
For sure.
You have to be in balance.
Yes.
And once I realized, when I was truly serving, the bliss that brought, it was life-changing. I called him and I said, I get it now. I understand. Pasquale, he's the one that said, he's my main spiritual mentor, and helped me really understand what serving truly is, because he served us. And he gave everything he had. Sometimes it was a right hook and, to get us back in order. But it was for us to grow. It was all out of absolute love, so we can serve people at a higher level.
Yeah. Sometimes mentors do have to be that tough love person to push you into growing.
Yeah.
Right.
My wife and I were talking about this over lunch before we came here. It's like, who wants someone that's just going to butter your bread all day? Of course we, say nice things to my wife. That. She's like, of course. And that's wonderful. And I truly mean it. We truly mean it. If we're just making it up, then that's just fake.
Yes.
But when it comes from love, and we're really just, it's to advance our service, to advance us as beings. For me, is so I can serve at a higher level myself. And the more people I help serve at a higher level, the more people I'm ultimately serving. But it's coming truly from love. And I think that's the biggest factor.
And I want to, because we're talking about service, and something that's might be in people's minds is you get paid for what you do, though.
Yes.
Right? Because money is exchanged. So when you're talking about service, it's not philanthropy. You're not giving everything out for free to be of service. It's a mindset of service. But there needs to be an energy exchange or a monetary exchange for what you do.
Being in balance with the universe is what I say.
Exactly.
And, if it's all give. And I had an amazing experience at the Kashi Ashram.
I love it there.
Beautiful.
Down in Sebastian? Yeah.
Roseland Road.
Roseland, yeah.
And Swami
That's
Muksharam,
Florida. Yeah.
Swami Muksharam in Florida, had been, was one of the swamis there, and he was teaching me lessons from Ma. And
Ma Jaya,
Jaya.
she kind of
Guru.
started that ashram
Mhm.
and then has passed.
She's recently passed.
Yes.
And Swami Muksharam has passed as well. And I was honored to serve him through the transition of his life, chiropractic.
Oh,
And
wow.
so it was truly a blessing. But he gave me his blessings, which he learned from Ma. One was, you must drink as you pour. If the pitcher will run empty, and there'll be plenty of thirsty people in this world. If you don't take some, serve yourself,
Yes.
your pitcher will run dry, and then you can't serve anyone.
That's right.
We have to serve ourselves, and that comes back to self-love. We have to love ourselves, and there's nothing wrong with that. We're sort of taught that's egocentric or what have you, but I love myself to care for myself. And the times that I'm not serving, I also want to be comfortable. I want to be able to sit in a comfortable chair, read a book that I want to read, be able to afford to buy the book.
That's right.
And the chair and what have you, because I have to be in balance that way, or I'm sacrificing. Okay?
Yes, and that's a whole different vibration.
We won't go into that right
No,
now.
that's another topic.
We could do that at a whole other radio show or
Yes.
show in the future.
Yes.
But I choose not to sacrifice my life.
No.
I want to see my children being served, and I want to see them as well serving. And we have to buy pencils and books and clothes to go to school. And
money is the exchange for this dimension. I mean, we have to eat, we have to pay our mortgage,
Yes.
but it's balance.
That's
it's all
right.
balance. And I know as spiritually aware business owners, setting the prices and keeping that balance of money flow and, sometimes doing some philanthropy, putting your time into that. But I just wanted to touch on that a little bit.
Well,
so it was clear that what you mean by service. Yeah.
Well, part of that philanthropy, that's where our innate chiro missions are come in.
Okay.
And I met my wife on a chiropractic mission in Brazil. And it's a great story.
Your wife's so lovely. She's just a lovely person all around.
I agree.
Roberta, you hear me?
Yeah, I agree. And, even when we would go back and visit her family in Brazil, we would give one day up to serving, and we would adjust people through the day. And we're going to, the Innate Missions is growing, and, we see it for 2020. I want all chiropractic mission trips to be ambassadors for chiropractic and not just, people practicing on, less fortunate people around the world, but really having the best of the best going. And that is really my intention of innate adjusting seminars or workshops, is to raise that level of service so I can bring ambassadors to serve people around the world. So that's where all this is all tying in to how we're creating this mission.
That's great. And then hooking into the international community, because we're all in this together, we're all in this together.
Yeah, November 3rd, I'm going to be in Mexico City. They've invited us to come down and speak and start creating our workshops down in Mexico. And, we're, grow around the world. So the way I do my workshops is, one day of teaching, a full day of teaching. And the second day is a mission trip. We call mission trips in chiropractic, where we're adjusting people, and it's free for them. They come in, and people come out of hospitals, come out wherever from the community, and I have seen tremendous transformations with people with that one adjustment. I'll just tell you a little story if you don't mind.
Yeah. We have a little bit.
We have a little time?
Break, yeah.
Well, just a quick one. There was a family coming in. We see, sometimes thousands of people. And we had a family that was just bawling and crying. And the whole family wanted to hug me and kiss me. And I said, at the end of the day, what was going on with this family? And my translator said, the grandmother was just coming to observe what was going on, but I just grabbed her and I adjusted her. And
you sensed she needed it.
Oh, yes. And she hadn't been able to hold her great-great-grandchild ever. She hasn't been touched in 10 years because she was in such pain in her life. And after her one adjustment, she held her great-grandchild for the first time in her life.
Oh, wow.
She was able to be hugged by her family. And, just, I mean...
I can feel that. I can feel how that felt for her.
Amazing. And so, those are the type of transformations that happen on these mission trips.
See, that's amazing. So if someone's interested in that, is there a website they can go to for that, or?
Right now it's from the Facebook page from Innate Express.
Innate Express
Innate
is
Express, the Facebook page,
Okay.
yes. We're building the website right now and doing all those things are in transition. Facebook is the easiest one right now.
Yeah,
It's a process.
It's a process. So we're gonna take another break, and before we leave for this one, we're gonna do a featured badass event that's coming up. And here's another way that you can sponsor this show is to do a badass event feature. So what's coming up is Melbourne Independent Film Festival. That is October 17th to October 19th, 2019 at Premier Theater Oak Stadium 10 here in Melbourne, Florida. So those are you watching. We have a little logo up there. It is jam-packed full of wonderful, fun things, films, events, well within this. And VIP red carpet and after party with Robin and Eddie. Robin was on the show last episode, robinandeddie.com. They're going to be making sure it's a fun time. Tickets are at oaks10.com if you want to buy those. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Very cool.
You're listening to Space Coast Podcast, home of the greatest podcasts on the Space Coast. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor or having your own show, email us at spacecoastpodcast@hotmail.com. Space Coast Podcast. Talk hard!
Hey there, this is Jesse Hull, and I want to remind you to tune into Business Elite Brevard Edition. And what we do on Business Elite Brevard Edition is bring to you some of the biggest movers and shakers on the Space Coast. These could be industry leaders, tech innovators, and social influencers. And what we do is kind of bring them on, ask them some of the most relevant questions that you may not know about. And these are people who may not be in the news, but they are making moves behind the scenes. Again, tune in. Business Elite Brevard Edition.
This is Trisha Schmalhofer. We are back with BAM, Badasses, Alchemists, and Mystics, here with Dr. Haig John, chiropractor extraordinaire, because he brings spirituality into his work, and that just is badass to me. So we want to finish up because you have so many really good mentors that have helped you spread your wings and shine and serve. Mm-hmm. And so Clarence
Jensen.
Yes.
He was at Clearview in Davenport, Iowa. That was a mental institution started by B.J. Palmer, and they received chiropractic care only. And amazing results, absolutely wonderful. It has now disappeared. A lot of the research disappeared, but only the top students were selected for it. And he was one of the top. And he was my mentor for, it's called Toggle. It's an upper cervical adjustment from B.J. Palmer. So what he taught me was Palmer specific, straight from him, his analysis, all those things. And I got amazing stories from directly from B.J. Palmer from him, which truly enlightening. He has since passed. He was in California.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you got like direct stuff from him.
That's what
like teaching.
exactly right. Exactly.
Like hands-on stuff. I love that. And what about Sue Brown?
Sue Brown, she developed BGI, biogeometric integration, and just recently we just hosted BGI 1 at my office, and we had students come from all over the country, which was absolutely amazing. I was so happy to have you there, and I can't wait for BGI 2 here in Melbourne.
So is this like we hear about sacred geometry, and that's a word thrown around? Could we apply it to that, or what is this?
Well,
what is biogeometric integration?
Well, let's look at it in this sense. We see the universe. We can see it in fractals, right? There's repeating patterns in the macro all the way down to the micro. Okay. If we look at the body, we can look at it in geometric shapes and patterns, like through the shoulders, down the system, but we look at it in three dimensions, like a tetrahedron, and it leads us to find the specific subluxation, okay? It leads right back to that subluxation. So it is an approach to find that subluxation, deliver the adjustment, serve that person, make changes and transformation.
Is this something you feel under your hands, or is this a subtle energetic flow, or yes and yes?
All of that. Yeah. All of that. I look at also as bands of meningeal tension, okay? Meningeal dural stress, that type of thing.
And just for those that aren't into that, it's the dura. The dura is the tissue around the brain and spinal cord that encases the cerebral spinal fluid. So but it's tissue. It is tissue. So you're feeling those bands.
Well, let's take it one step deeper.
Let's go.
Okay. It's layers of emotion. This is old stuff. This is created within the body's holding this experience, maybe, whatever it might be. Now, we can go even farther. It might be from this generation. It might be generational. It might be, we can use the term past life, wherever it may have come from. Yep. Now we want to use terms like genetic and stuff like that, but I would much rather see this as my flow of life energy to where I am at this point. So when I'm clear enough myself, and that's the most important thing about service, I have to say, is I speak in terms of you do your thing, I have to be clear in myself to deliver my service. When I'm clear, that's where the level that we're connecting. Okay? So the transformation, who knows what it might be? It may be this pain in your back. I have no idea. But that could be something way down the line. It could be an emotional bond. It may be a reason why we act one way in a social situation.
Definitely.
That may not be serving us.
Yes, we are a multi-dimensional beings.
Yes.
And we're finding that more and more with research is catching up, you know, it's what we've known since ancient times. But
sure.
But I was at a Beyond the Dora, it was craniosacral people all come together, and there was a plastic surgeon, French, don't remember his name, sorry, but he did during surgery live tissue. He filmed what live tissue, fascia, and the web look like. And as craniosacral therapists, we're working with this tissue every day under our hands, and we're sensing these emotions, these subtleties. People have emotional release, but what this surgeon, what he was saying is, in medical school, they study on cadaver, and dead tissue and live tissue behave totally different because of a lot of reasons.
Oh, sure.
But you're talking about like these tetrahedrons and these shapes. He even did the skin, magnetize it, and you could see these three-dimensional shapes coming from the skin, and it's this geometrical pattern, and that's just on the skin. Once we get deeper in, it goes all the way down. And then I feel, even in the bio field, even into the energy field.
Where does our body begin and end?
Yeah.
And if it's a construct of our consciousness, of where we see ourselves in the world, does it have a beginning and the end? Is that a consciousness thing? Is that a construct of the mind? Where are we in this planetary universe? Is all that stuff out there a reflection from within? Mm-hmm. There's a lot now of, I want evidence of things. I don't give a darn about evidence. I see it every day.
Me too.
I don't need to see a research study, right? I know that I know that I know that it happens. When we have that within us and we allow it to happen, because my limitations of happening are gone. I don't have expectations of what is supposed to happen to you. When I get rid of that, we are absolutely limitless.
Yes.
Everything can change. Every aspect of life. You may still have a tingling foot, but your entire life may change. Your decision making, your relationships, how you act within the world may change.
It's true, because the inner world and the outer world are really all the same. When you get into this idea of we are these interdimensional beings. Yeah, the flow, right?
Where's our card?
I know. I did a card reading. Going with the flow was one of our cards. Guidance and intensity were our other ones, because I knew we're both working with a lot of fire, because we both, I feel like Dr. Haig and I are both kind of stepping into what we're really here to do on this planet, and there's a lot of like fire and energy behind it. And I'm like, have you been like really hot lately, like sweaty? He goes, yeah, it's really
It's true.
So it's this power, but it's really coming from divine, from God, and it's moving through us. It's not our ego saying, well, I want to accomplish this. It's moving us.
Yeah.
And it can be intense if you're not in balance. If you're in balance, you go with the flow.
Absolutely. And that's, part of our philosophy, the basic philosophy in chiropractic, is separating ourselves from our educated mind and getting to our innate. Innate is really the expression of God within the body. And that innate intelligence just is the same that created the universe. That's what we were talking about. The educated stuff, that's the little kid stuff. Okay, my kids are pretty smart. Okay, but but we're all these little teeny children, really learning things from the last woman or man that taught us something, and that starts in utero. But in utero, no human being knows how that baby really, those cells divide. We don't understand how life really happens. That's the real innate. That's the life, the amazingness of this universe. That's the part that we work with.
It's that, but I am a knowledge seeker, so I like watching videos of the cells splitting.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Getting into the anatomy of the body, and we're talking about the geometric shapes, and like I walk through life almost like a child sometimes. Like, show me, I look for the connection, and I'm in awe about the intricacy. If I hold a newborn baby, it's like I'll stare at their little lips or their little toes, and it's like it is a miracle. Like our bodies with God's energy has created this human being in its perfection. And I just get all jazzed about this because it's amazing.
But the moments of separating ourselves from that educated, if we're thinking about that educated world while we're serving, right, then that's the tunnel vision.
It boxes you in.
Right.
It's one side of your brain thinking.
And right. I love those things. And my father was a medical doctor, and a surgeon, and I love that level of knowledge. I love it, and I seek it out myself. I don't bring it in. You know what? It is a part of me. Let's just. It is a part of. I do bring it in. Right, but not in consciousness.
Right.
I separate that stuff to allow this amazing being in front of me to express what it needs to, so I can serve it.
How I look at it is when working with inner physician.
Yeah.
Okay, which is that innate intelligence. It's that knows what I know. So I see like all the education I've done is my framework. So if I'm getting intuitively or through subtle things or palpation that I need to work on this cell in this part of the body, and I know my anatomy, I can get very specific with how I'm serving that person.
Yeah.
That's how I kind of look at education. It's the framework to maneuver.
Sure. Well, in chiropractic, there's a lot of everybody's sort of fighting with themselves and different techniques, which is fun in a way, right? They find different subluxations, and it's not the technique or the knowledge of what you're looking for. I look at it as the innate in this being is going to trust me enough to say, you're the one that can help me change this.
Ding, ding, ding.
I'm going to
ding,
give you
ding.
that subluxation
Exactly.
to change, which is a gift, and it's a message from this spiritual realm.
And it may show me a different
Completely, exactly.
because it knows it's
Yeah.
innate intelligence.
That's
so
right.
we're gonna
That's
we're
it.
gonna
Good.
this gets me so fired up. I love talking about this. But we're gonna go to our last break, and this time we're gonna feature a badass business, and the badass business is Med Healers. This is my business, by the way. Med Healers Wellbeing and Education Center, where science and spirit dance together. And this is in-person or remote sessions. I'm here in Melbourne, Palm Bay, Florida. And the number is 772-559-1993, medhealers.com. Give a call for a free phone consult and see how Med Healers can help you. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Space Coast Podcast, home of the greatest podcasts on the Space Coast. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor or having your own show, email us at spacecoastpodcast@hotmail.com.
Space Coast Podcast.
Talk hard!
Are you ready to explore the world? Travel to exotic locations and live your best life with Anytime Travel Solutions. Anytime Travel Solutions are your worldwide, unbiased concierge with access to real inventory of hotels, cruises, railroads, tours, and all of the best excursions. Anytime Travel Solutions realizes how fun it is to plan your own vacations, so we have the option to search vacations and book safely on our website, or you can visit us in our conveniently located offices in downtown Melbourne, Florida. Did you know travel is proven to benefit your health, both physically and mentally? We have 3 decades serving travelers and making dreams come true. So ask yourself, if not now, when? Call Ceci today to begin your adventure. Dial 321-779-4285 or visit anytimebookings.com. That's anytimebookings.com.
Hey, this is Trisha Schmalhofer. We're back with BAM, Badasses, Alchemists, and Mystics. I'm here again with Dr. Haig John. So, Dr. Haig, really cool segment, last one, and I love talking about that stuff.
Me too.
So we want to go into, you have an ebook that's going to be coming out.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, we don't have a title yet,
Okay.
But it's, you know, like I said before, what I have really spent my adult life is looking into what it is to serve, how to be a better server, what does that really mean?
Mm-hmm.
There are lots of books out there of really being a better business person and that type of thing. Selling the Invisible is a good book. I'm plugging it now. But ultimately, what does it mean to serve? And that has been my question to myself and been my journey. So, you know, I'm developing an ebook right now that I'm giving away chapter by chapter. People, when they sign up, you know, before it's completed, I'm giving it away for free. By the time it's done, I'm going to charge money for it.
Right.
But we're going to do, if you sign up on our Facebook page on Innate Express, you can private message me or put a message on there. And I will we're going to send them as emails probably, and we're going to do chapter by chapter. And
so out of the ones here, which one do you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about one of the chapters?
well, you know, I'd say starting at the top.
Yeah,
The
that one's grabbing me too.
You know,
Clear the heart, the head follows.
Clear the heart, the head
What
follows.
do you mean by that? Clear the heart, the head follows.
Well,
what's that mean?
It's why our first podcast is going to be about our badge of honor and clearing our heart, being authentic, clearing the garbage that we've accumulated that may have other people have claimed to be the I am for us, right?
The authority outside of us and other people.
Yeah.
What's here?
From, a small child, for a boy, what do they tell boys? Oh, big boys don't cry or hold back your emotions, all this stuff where we're just as emotional as women and what have you. I can only talk for myself because I'm a man. I'm not a woman.
But you're a human being.
Exactly.
You have emotions.
Precisely.
Yes.
And we've put a lot of things to guard this and protect the heart from the outside and also from the inside. So that, to me, is the most important aspect. Maybe it touches a little bit on Steve Shargel's question.
Yes, we do have a question we will answer in a few minutes, Stephen, so just hang with us. Go ahead.
But that is, that's sort of part of it. And,
or do you want to answer it now?
Well, we're working on it in a way.
Okay.
But clearing ourselves so we can be authentic. And that's a big thing now, people from our authentic self, being transparent. What does that mean, really? But being who we're meant to be. What's that? Authenticity.
This is the book. Beauty of Authenticity is a book I just participated in this year.
Great.
So being authentic is a very important thing right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And right now and forever. And, teaching that to our children and respecting people enough where they can be authentic. They can be clear in the heart. And it's not an easy task.
It's not.
It's one of those things, I have to say, I had at one point in my life, I had an energetic vision of myself, and I described it once on stage. Occasionally, I'm a speaker at Dynamic Essentials, DE, and I felt like I had a scab coming off of my heart. I could feel it. I even had a spot in my heart that just felt just like the little pink spot under a scab,
That's good description.
Right on my heart. And I felt like it was coming off, and it was months that I had this feeling. And I talked to people. I didn't know where to go. And a lot of sometimes fear came up with other people, like, whoa, this guy's about to get authentic maybe. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, some people are a little nervous about diving deep like that.
Yeah, true. And I love it. But
you push through it.
Once I felt that scab, I also realized myself how much I have been holding back for myself. Maybe how my identity of who the I am is might be a little bit different, or I've been portraying who I am instead of being who I am. Does that make sense?
Yes. How did you end up getting that scab to come off? And did you visualize it? Was it body work sessions, meditations?
Everything of serving myself, loving myself, prayer, being with my family, meditation, getting adjusted, spending time with spiritual groups, understanding myself, where it just became more of that mission to understand. Like I said, it's not an easy journey. It's not easy for anyone.
No.
And it was such a blessing. And then, you know what? There's another scab underneath that. There's another one underneath that. And we all have them, wherever those wounds may be. And, we talk about, different types of stresses. The first one we think of is emotional stress, usually. There's chemical, and there's physical, and there's spiritual stress. But that emotional stress, you think about the first breakup maybe we had as in high school, you get physically ill, or at any time in life, or you lose somebody you really care about in life. You feel physically ill. It's a physical nature to that. And a lot of our society says, hold it in, or even take a pill and just maintain it. And we never have a chance to transcend it, if that makes sense.
Don't hold it in.
Let it go.
But you have to move through it, though.
Move through it.
You can't just not acknowledge it and say, oh, that doesn't mean anything, because it will come back up.
Yeah,
but
that's right.
Yeah, we have to move through these pains and emotions. And
that's why community is so important.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. So, we were the Indigo Festival we talked about before, and creating a community of vitalistic thinking, practitioners, light workers, energy workers, craniosacral chiropractors, and families that want to make, natural choices for their families, and choose I don't like to say alternative lifestyle. That doesn't make sense, but a vitalistic way of living.
Right.
And, that's why we created the Indigo Festival. And my friend Jody Dinnerman, she was the brainchild behind that. And, we've run a little wild with it, which has been amazing.
Is that just locally here in Melbourne, Florida, or is that travel?
Well, I did Dr. Haig's, Indigo Festival here in Melbourne. We can travel. She's done her Indigo Festival as well.
Oh, okay.
And so it's sort of there's a sister and brotherhood of it. And she has just really been the spark and the catalyst for that.
Okay.
Now I really see it as growing something very special because, nationally and internationally, there is a big push where science fiction now is becoming science nonfiction.
Yes.
And, forcibly drugging families and children and things like that, where, we might not watch the news. I tell you, I don't watch the news very often. I don't think...
I just watch to kind of plug in to see what's the nature of what's happening and then remove myself from that energy. Yeah.
Well, we have to, band together, really. And I think I know a community is important.
Almost like going back in time to that closeness and that close-knit community feel where, the internet and all that, it's great because we can expand and talk to someone across the world instantly, but it's coming back to that personal connection.
The individual is only as strong as their tribe is.
Right.
And I believe in growing a strong tribe and of... our tribe, like we have, like I said, Dynamic Essentials, Florida Chiropractic Society. I know that tribe now in the Vitalistic community and creating a strong tribe as well. And really all sitting at the same table together, having conversations together has been powerful. Empowerment.
Yes, yes. So I want to address Stephen's question. We probably answered it, but his question is, I have noticed when I catch myself judging and at odds with what is going on in my world, I tighten up and get symptoms. Can you speak about accepting what is without being a passive leaf in the wind?
Well, I'm just going to touch on a little bit of that. And I sat with a guru, Sadhguru Yogi Vasudev, and I did an intensive with him once in Atlanta. And one thing he said, you can't be responsible for everything else that happens in the world. You're responsible for your world. And that empowered me because I want to change what's happening in India. There are too many shootings in wherever. I can't change that right now. I can help my community. I can be this energy. Then, we see that change in the world. When we're empowered from within, we're no longer just the leaf, we're the entire tree. Okay? The leaf in the wind is as powerful as its tree is. So that's where the community comes in, Steve.
Definitely.
I love you, Stephen. And, we're friends. And I'm really, I'm glad you're part of my community, Steve.
Yes. And doing our inner work so we are in balance, so we can be a vital part of our community. So our community can be a vital part of the state and then the world. And, it keeps going out. So being responsible for our own healing and our own path.
I have another little part to that, is that not every person that we serve sometimes they drive us a little crazy. And we love them anyway. And we serve them at our best, right? And it's just the nature of life. Every person is different. We love them like a parent loves a child. Sometimes they drive us crazy. And
sometimes they're reflecting something we have to look at within ourselves.
That's absolutely true. Absolutely true.
I would love to keep going with you. You have been such a wonderful guest,
Thank
but
you
I'm
for
looking
having
at
me.
our time and we have like maybe 20 seconds. So I just want you to just give a shout out. How do people get in touch with you?
You can call me, make an appointment, 321-722-5846. My email, this is my personal email, haigjohndc@gmail.com. And, we have people come from all over the world. If you want to come and get served, I'm here for you. If you have questions, you can call me or send me a message anytime you'd like.
All right, Dr. Haig John.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. See you next time on BAM, Badasses, Alchemists, and Mystics.